evening and welcome to the Fallout Bar. We are a little bit late. I'll get to that in a minute when we get going. But day 6 of the Paddy Power World Darts Championship. Here to review it as ever, we've got Carwyn Evans with me, who's been here every day this week. Fantastic shift that he's putting in. And special treat for everyone. A couple of days earlier than expected, just because I called him lazy last night, Mr. Jack Carwood. I'll come to you first. How are you, mate?
I'd never rise to that, and the reason I wouldn't rise to that is I wasn't watching. But I know it's a thing. You take your little 2 minutes of glory, and we'll run with it.
Well, it's good to have you back on anyway. And Carwyn, here again. You must be knackered by this point. How are you?
Yeah, I'm all right. I think I am tired because I'm sure before we went on air, the two of you were the other way around on my screen, but you seem to have swapped sides. So either I'm overtired or magical things are happening behind the scenes here.
Yeah, I think that's just the order that I clicked us back in when I was putting us back in the thing. I think that's how it works. I just did it in the order that they showed on the bottom for me. So that's about as technical as it gets from me. We'll go back to sort of regularly scheduled programming tonight. We got all excited last night and went in just threw the order to pieces because of what happened with Michael Smith going out last night. We haven't got any story of that level tonight, so I think we'll just run through it as normal. And yeah, we are a little bit late because Gob couldn't figure out how to turn the sound off on his projector.
Lies. Carwyn was making a brew.
Hello, everyone in the chat room as well. Great to have everyone in. Apologies for the late start, but we are here. It's partly a late start because it takes about 40 minutes for a couple of people playing tonight to actually throw a dart, which doesn't help the situation, as a couple of people have mentioned in the chat already. We'll start off, though, this afternoon, and we started off with Stephen Burton against Alexander Merckx. I don't think there were many of us that went this way last night, Carwyn, were there?
No. Yeah, what a bizarre game, as in Burton never got going, and for some reason I felt like he was watching or concentrating more on what Merckx was doing and what he was hitting than his own throw, and never got into the game. But credit to Merckx, he did enough in what was probably the perfect slot for that game, first game on the afternoon.
Yeah, like you say, it felt very much a first game of the afternoon game. Like it felt like it was about 9 o'clock in the morning. No one had woken up and weren't anywhere near going. 2 averages sort of comfortably in the 70s as well. How did you feel on this one?
I don't want to bash him too much. Alexander Merckx's A game is very, very good. Stephen Burton's A game is very, very good. I think one of them rocked up with their C game, one of them rocked up with their D game, and that's how it unfolded. It wasn't great. It wasn't pretty. The averages were a bit naff. We didn't really get any standout moments as such. The highest checkout was a ton in the match. Both finished similar level. Merckx wins. Well done. Sound.
Yeah. There's not really a lot more than that to say on it. I think the ton.
Welcome back to the show, Jack. Yeah, solid opening. Really good insight. Glad you're back. I was hoping, by the way, that actually by the time I made my debut, if I just grew a mustache and put some glasses on, we'd all look the same.
We would, yeah. We'd all look like Rob Owen with a bit more of a beard.
That's the plan, isn't it? We become the Rob Owen supporter.
Yeah, that's it. Like he's going to have to grow a bit more of a beard just to fit in with us is the only problem. From there, we went to a really, really good game. And this one went a lot closer than all of us kind of thought last night as well. I said the words, it's about levels this game. And what we saw was the fact that Cameron Carrollison has levels that we weren't quite sure that he had beforehand and was able to stick with Wessel Nyman. And this got really close and a really good win in the end for Wessel to get over the line in an absolute thriller, Jack.
Yeah, I mean, it was difficult not to be impressed with Cameron. And then you get to the point where actually go, it's difficult not to be gutted for Cameron, the level of performance that he put in.
It's not often I sit here and hear it's difficult not to be impressed with Cameron, but go on.
Well, not you muppet. We've seen him a few times. He's not quite delivered to that level. We've known that there's something brewing a little bit in say Africa. It's a bloody big place, Africa. But the levels and the input and the effort that the likes of Devon and the ADG group are going through to get the game up and running in and on the continent of Africa. South Africa has predominantly been the dominant place there, but for the first time ever this year, we saw the qualifier being held outside of South Africa. We saw the likes of Peter Washuri absolutely break the internet on that qualifier that was live streamed. Carolison was the one that won that match. And whilst Washuri stole everybody's hearts, I still didn't quite see this level coming from Carolison. We've seen him play a few times. He's handy. He's clearly got a solid action, but the level that he rose to, I thought was really, really good. Unlucky not to win that first set. He had chances, lots of missed starts at double. It looked like Nyman was then going to run away with it. To then put it back the way he did was superb, all the way to a deciding leg and a deciding set, and he's undone by 2 deflections into the treble 3 segment, basically. Really, really good game all around. You have to credit Wessel for sticking with it. A lot of people earlier on were saying perhaps that it was the first set that was the undoing of Cameron. I'm not so sure. I think if Cameron gives Wessel a bit of a shock, then we might have seen the explosion from Wessel from set 2 onwards and a little bit more focus. I think the fact that he got 2 sets up, got in that little bit more comfortable and gave Carolison the opportunity to strike. But nonetheless, it's still a really, really impressive performance from Nyman, given the way that he went out in the Grand Slam. 3 unbelievable performance levels, the highest tournament average you've ever seen in the group, doesn't win a game. So to bounce back from that very recently, to perform to this level in the biggest event, whilst he's gone from, he's playing around on the Dev Tour and he's got a bit, to bloody hell, he's everybody's dark horse and he can go far, and the tournament brackets opened up really nicely on his side of the draw. That's a lot of pressure to deal with on his shoulders. And to do that whilst you've got an opponent like Carolison that just won't go away and that very likely beats anybody else that he comes up against this afternoon or so far in round 1, barring 1 or 2 performances, that takes some time from Nyman, and you have to applaud it.
It does, absolutely. I feel a little bit robbed that this was a round 1 game and that it did end after 5 legs in that final set. I wanted it to go on. I wanted extra time and I wanted to see more of it. Like I say, really solid from Carlos, and it took him a little while to get going. He missed 10 darts at double in the first set, but then he only finished up 10 of 32, so he was 10 from 22 after that point. So played really solidly after he grew into it, but it's a battle to get through in this first round for Nyman. It stands him in good stead going forward, doesn't it, Colin, that he's already got through a thriller?
Oh, definitely. And he won the last set against the darts. And I think most people predicted one-way traffic, and having this test will ground him a bit and we'll probably bring him back down to earth. I know we went out in the groups in the Grand Slam, but those 3 averages were magical, and it'll take time for you to get yourself back grounded after that. So he's done that. He's got through a tricky test from a comfortable position. 2-0 up. He was probably thinking, right, I'll wrap the 3rd set up in 10 minutes. I'll be back in the hotel or get home for get rested until the next round. But then he's had to play a 5-set thriller, and it'll probably keep his focus as well. He'll be ready now for Joe Cullen. I think he's got next, isn't it? He'll be ready for that, and knowing that he can't slip and he can't take his eye off the ball if he is going to do as well as many predict in this tournament.
Well, that's it. He's been a lot of people's dark horse, and like I say, it's an opportunity against Cullen, who's not had the best of years. So we'll see where he goes from there.
Yeah, Cullen will not have enjoyed seeing that, by the way. We're saying how brilliant it was to be tested and how it might have got nervy. Once Carolison starts coming back at him, he wants Carolison to win, because we've seen the lower levels from Carolison.
Yeah.
Once Nyman gets through a test like that and responds to being up against it in the manner that he does in that final set, Joe Cullen's looking at it going, I'm not having a great year. I've not played my best darts. Quietly confident about his own ability. Every sportsman is. But once you see Nyman come through that, you're like, hang about, this could be trouble. Because like I said, if Carolison comes through that, you know he's also got a B game that doesn't live with Joe Collins.
Yeah.
Nyman has got that level.
And also, if Nyman's going to win it, you want him to just sort of stroll through it with an 80 average 3-0 without having been tested, whereas he has been now. We then didn't have a 3rd game. Well, we did have a 3rd game, but we didn't have the 3rd game that we should have had in the afternoon. I haven't seen any updates since, but I hope all is well with Sandro Eriksson. I haven't seen anything else since, but obviously he had to pull out just before the game and had gone to hospital from what I'd last heard. So hope all is well there. And Ian White obviously gets through to the next round. Tough for him because obviously it's your biggest game of the year to come to Ali Pali and not to get a chance to play it. But unfortunately, obviously, health comes first at the end of the day, and making sure that he's sort of getting the care that he needs, I'm sure he is doing. So from there, we went straight on to...
Can I pull you back a minute because you've forgotten to look at the interviews because there is a clip from Nyman.
Is there a clip from Nyman? I do this every time. We don't want to use all of them, do we? Like...
Well, it's not my show anymore. I just turn up when I feel like it. But
that's it. I'm running the show. We'll use what we want. But yes, we have got a clip from Nyman. So let's have a listen to that, and then we'll go from there.
It's probably the craziest match I've ever played, especially after a 2-0 lead. But yeah, I'm gonna have a good sleep tonight. That's one thing for sure. No, not at all. I said it before, but I think it's a bit crazy to get me in like the 6th spot to win the World Championship. But if everyone's gonna think it, I'm just gonna play my own game, and I'm trying to like sort it out and not gonna have it with me, but. It's still there and it's in your head a bit, but I'm trying to close it out as much as possible.
He's trying to close it out. He's still there, but he's trying to close it out. That's sort of what
This is the bit where you remind the lovely folks at home that there are interviews of every match winner available on our channel, and you can check them out at the end of this show.
Is it your show or is it my show? I do that a little bit later on so people remember at the end. If I tell them now, they'll have forgotten.
You say it once at the start, once at the end.
Yes, of course, there is.
You carry on, darling. Sorry, Rob Owen.
That's it. There are all the interviews in full on the YouTube channel. Go and check that out afterwards. Don't check it out now because now you want to listen to us and not just me and Gob arguing. I'm going to kick you off soon. Anyway, it's good to have you back. straight on to the next game, which was Stephen Bunting against Kai Gossart. Really good game, this. Pushed him close here, did Kai. I mean, he missed opportunities to go 2-0 up, which I think in them was sort of the killer for him. But Stephen Bunting gets over the line 3-1. Carwyn, I'll come to you first on this one. Your thoughts?
Yeah, it just took him a bit of while to get up to speed, Bunting, but once he pinched that second set, it was one-way traffic from there. And I think that fifth leg in the second set gave Bunting the boost he needed. It just deflated Kai as well, and he seemed to run out of steam. I think he only had the one dart of the double in the last 2 sets, but he's been a bit of a revelation, not revelation, maybe that's the wrong word, but I've enjoyed watching him play in these World Championships. I think we'll see much more of him, and he certainly has the temperament, the attitude, and the ability. So hopefully we see a lot of him on our screens. And the Bunting Army match is on.
Yeah, absolute fan favourite in the Palace and pretty much everywhere else he goes, Bunting. So, yeah, good to see him get through it. I think Kai probably struggled a little bit because he didn't explode a dart at any point and didn't have that chance to just reset and come back on and play better like he did the other day. But other than that, I thought from there on, he got the opportunity given to him, Bunting, in that second set and closed it out really nicely from there, I felt.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that I said after Kai won his first round game, and the thing that I said when I've seen him at the Super Series winner week and make it to Champions Week, and even qualifying for this World Championships and winning the German Super League, Kai wins moments. He doesn't absolutely batter you off the board for the entire duration of the game. He wins big moments. He comes up clutch in those key periods. He fires in a big visit to set himself up nicely. That's exactly what he did in the first round. That's exactly what we've seen him do throughout 2024. He lost a big moment in this game, and it gave Stephen Bunting the opportunity to just walk straight through the door. Given the level and the number of big seeds we've seen fall already, Michael Smith for one, Stephen Bunting, whilst it won't be his primary focus, it's very difficult to ignore the Premier League conversation at this point of the year. And he is firmly in that conversation. He has got ridiculous cult status within the PDC fan base right now. He's just started a YouTube channel. He's got the crowd singing "Let's Go Bunting" mental at the end. Once players are dropping around him as well, Gerwyn Price played okay, not exceptional. Michael Smith went out early. Mike Dedeker's gone early, etc. Nathan Aspinall, I don't think was as brilliant as Nathan Aspinall can be. It's very much becomes a case of don't do anything stupid, don't get knocked out early. And what that does is put you under pressure to not do anything stupid and not get knocked out early. Yeah. And I think we saw that in the early moments of this game from Stephen Bunting. But like once he got that set under his belt, was allowed to settle into the match a little bit, we saw moments and closer to the best of Stephen Bunting. Not necessarily his brilliant best, but he dominated the game from there, didn't he? He controlled it. He's professional. He's been in these situations before. He settled in and he was bang on the money for the rest of the day and did exactly what he needed to do to make sure he's back there after Christmas. And long may it continue because he is brilliant.
Yeah, he is. We're all very happy seeing him up there and seeing him do his thing. Absolutely that. Yeah, I think it was a huge moment, that double eight that Kai missed. That I think he'd missed possibly one dart at double before that point. He was perfect in the first set. And I think he was either 2 from 2 or 2 from 3 before going into that leg. So, yeah, just in that big moment when you didn't fancy him to miss it the way he was playing, but he did. And Bunting took full advantage, though, and great just to see him go on. I don't know whether he got his selfie with Ed Sheeran that he wanted afterwards or not, but he did mention that on stage afterwards. We've also got a clip from him as well, so I'm remembering to do my job right. So
these camera flips do me every time. It's normally Barza. I point at the same geezer all the time. Yeah, even Kari was so smug then, thinking he could nail it in one. And
I nailed it the other night. We were talking about this the other night. I was sat where you are, and I nailed the point at the Paddy Power sign. First go. And we were all just from then on, trying to do it properly. There you go. See, you've got it. So, yeah, we have got Stephen Bunting after his win. He spoke to Phil. So, here he is.
I think there's obviously pressure anyway. If you're world number 8 and you go out, then it's a bit of a disaster, innit? If you're world number 2, you go out, or whatever ranking you are, you're expected to win. World number 2 is expected to get to a final. World number 8 is expected to get to a quarter final. So you also had that pressure of how well you've been profiling yourself leading up to the event. So yeah, there's always going to be pressure. People are talking about Premier League as well, which I've tried to block out as much as I can. But at the end of the day, I'm a dart player. I've just got to knuckle down, keep doing what I'm doing, and listen, if I play well enough and if I have a great Worlds, then there's a chance I could be in Premier League. I'd really take it. I'd love to play in it. But at the same time, like I said, Premier League's on the back of my mind. I want to win this World Championship before anything, and it means the world to me.
Well, you hinted at it, God, beforehand. It's almost like you knew what was coming.
I genuinely haven't watched it, but
no, we all know though that question's going to be asked. It's sort of wide open at the moment, isn't it? Me and Colin were sat here last night trying to figure out who might be in and who might not be after the show because we were that boring that we still sit here and talk about that afterwards as well. But It is clearly on the mind. So as much as he says, it's at the back of my mind. It isn't, is it? You're still thinking about it. It's there.
Yeah.
He's definitely thinking about it because he also mentions, and the world number 2 is meant to go to a final. Oh no, he's gone out. He can't be in the Premier League, but the world number 8 is still in.
He's now the world number 15 or 16 as well.
Yeah, mind games. He knows what he's doing.
Absolutely. At least like when you get Aspinall talking about it, he just comes out and says he wants to be in it.
Yeah.
I know God was moaning about that when he wasn't on the live lounge when he was poorly.
Well, I was right. I'm always right. Let's be honest. That's what I do on this show. I want to address something Jamie just in the chat room. He said Bunting played an afternoon session. Bit odd to put a potential player on at that time. Yes and no. And there's a little bit of a thing here because the conversation that we've had and we've been around over the last few weeks have suggested that before he did anything stupid like losing round 2, Mike Dedeker was firmly in that spot. He also played an afternoon session.
There's only so many evening sessions.
There are only so many evening sessions. And as of tomorrow, we're into firmly just round 2 games. And what happens at that point is you get multiple top players in those sessions. These guys have been afforded the opportunity or have been deemed big enough to headline and be the big billing ticket on an afternoon session. Like that still means a little bit. So whilst it may be a little
Friday,
different, it's not like world number 2 being relegated to board 3 at the UK Open. That ain't happening. right? But it is still like there's still enough there for those players to carry an afternoon session.
Yeah. Me and Colin are probably both a little bit surprised after talking the chat earlier that that's the clip that we got from Bunting and not the one that we thought we might get that we got in the OD chat earlier. Where
I need to find the other one and upload it.
Yeah, where he references that a lot of the time when he plays, he tends to get a ginger fellow in the crowd. He's had Prince Harry, he's had Ed Sheeran, and also the famous Mr. Phil Bars, who he references by name in the interview. Thought we were going to get that. I thought we'll probably have to find it and put it in. If God can find it, he can do that. After that, we went on to the evening session, and a game that, despite only being 4 sets, felt like it was 15. I'm going to be honest. I've got nothing personally against Mickey Mansell, but just throw the darts, man.
I don't think you can be nicknamed the Cyclone and play that slow.
It's a very soft breeze, isn't it? It's not.
Yeah, it's a blowing a birthday candle out.
It's like literally like a mouse blowing through a straw.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts on the game? Because I'll be honest, I sort of was half checked out watching it.
I was a bit disappointed with Goto, I think is the way to go with this. Whether or not the pace has thrown him off, traditionally, it is a bit of a stereotype, but the majority of players we see come over from Asia are actually a little bit more methodical. They build in nicely, each throw is very individual. Goto seems to be quite opposite of that. He is a player who, from the past and from the way he threw today, seemingly likes to play at a bit of a rhythm. Mansell is quite difficult to play against because he does dominate the speed of the game so much. He has become a lot more efficient in the last couple of years. We've seen him go deep in majors this year. Was it the Grand Slam semi, I think it was?
Yeah, he made the
semi a few weeks ago as well. So, look, when you're adding that level to your game and you are in control of the pace from the start, you're incredibly difficult to beat. And I think Goto's been done one a little bit there. Mansell played okay. Not set the world alight. Big reaction at the end. I think he knows that a different opponent, he might have been under it a little bit more. The worry for this one is Clayton isn't in the best of form. Could potentially be one of those players that sneaks into that conversation that we don't want this tournament to be all about, but potentially is, given the lack of stardom elsewhere and his record in that tournament. I don't think that pace suits him in the next round either.
No, it doesn't. He's again another one that likes to get on with it and get into a rhythm. I thought sort of middle of sort of the end of the second set, middle of the third set, that Goto sort of figured it out a little bit, which would take an extra second almost to get to the oki, but then throwing at the pace when he got up there, Carl. But then it seemed like when it came down to it in that last set that he sort of lost that rhythm again a little bit.
Yeah, that was it, wasn't it? You thought he'd cracked it, and then just in the most important set, he just couldn't take the chances he'd been given, and Mansell sort of falls over the line in non-dramatic fashion, and I don't know. It's just bizarre the amount of first-round matches that have had averages in the low 80s, and I know they'll improve as time goes on, and there's pressure and what have you.
In there with you. The standard on the whole in some part. Let's not. We've seen some very good performances, but there has been some real bad stuff at times as well.
Yeah, and to think, as you just mentioned, Mansell made the Grand Slam semi-final a month ago, so he played better there. I don't understand in the space of a few weeks how you go from semi-final to looking like you're struggling to hit an 80 average. As in, is he playing too slow for himself as well, and that he's dragging?
Well, we've had this argument talking about Dimmy for years now. It feels like about getting into that sort of rhythm, and sort of putting your opponent off, but also not allowing you to get into a rhythm either. Like there was some god awful darts towards the end of this from him as well that were like good 2-3 inches from the target he was going for, and not staying straight either. So it didn't feel like the pace and the way that he played particularly helped him either.
He was just desperate to win the game by the end, wasn't he? It was just sort of
like I say, the right thing to say, he literally fell over the line. It wasn't it almost, I don't know, it just outlasted him, I think, as much as anything. It was two boxers just slugging at each other at the end when they're absolutely knackered and blown out.
Well, there is the factor that this is the site of that famous fine as well. Like, there's a lot of pressure to get his preparation right for this event. And if he perhaps hasn't got it right, we've all been in that situation where we try and pretend that we're not quite as under the influence as we are. If they're going to whack a fucking Foster sponsor that big on the bottom of the board, I ain't afraid anymore.
Yeah, you might, to be fair, you might as well put a couple of cans on the stage for him.
We've all been in that position where you try and pretend that you're not quite as pissed as you think you are. Maybe there's a little bit to that, or maybe there's just the pressure of returning to Ali Pali, knowing that actually he's got that hanging over him a bit. He has been playing a lot better this year, or in comparison. Obviously had that big run under his belt as well. And then he has to go out there and deliver in a game where he's quite a big favourite. There haven't been many times where Mickey Mansell walks into the Ali Pali and he's favourite for a match.
It was just not just a favourite; it was a 7-2 on favourite as well, with sponsors Paddy Power. Like that's a big favourite in a game like this, considering he was playing someone that won a game on this stage last year and played very well in doing so. I've got to agree with Josh here. I do feel very sorry for all the fans in Japan that stayed up till that time to watch that. On from there, though. Actually, no, we're not going on from there because we have got a clip from him as well. I'm assuming this is slightly quicker than 3 of his darts, but we'll find out.
Well, I suppose if you left, I never thought that most of the time I'm always looking at probably the other side of the rankings between what's happening with 64, you know what I mean, from the Grand Slam, where it has projected me until the rankings. Now definitely my attitude has changed. When all of a sudden you're looking up the ladder than looking down the ladder, you know what I mean? And I've heard a few other players talking about that sort of profile and how they'd want to be better. And I suppose I'm no different, you know what I mean? As whenever whenever you're 78 or whatever 80 in the world, I'm talking about I want to be in the top 32 or the top 16. Look, it sounds good, it's brilliant, but the reality is it's not easy got there. But whenever you're in the position, whenever you create yourself into that position, which I have now created myself, them opportunities now is available, and I suppose that's where I'm looking. I'm looking up the ladder and not looking down it.
I don't know. I don't know where to go with that. I mean, he should be looking up the ladder considering the year he's had and going to a major semi-final. But yeah, that was a bit waffly and drawn out.
Yeah. He stretched that almost as long as his game.
That's it. I was trying not to say that, but thank you, Carwin, for taking that one from me.
Sorry, I've had too much tea tonight.
That's it. Yeah, that's what he said last year, wasn't it?
Next
game. Good game. Really, really good game. Played at a really good pace. Great watch. Florian Hempel, 3-1 winner over Jeffrey Zavoine. I mean, this is just the absolute opposite of the last game. This was brilliant to watch, wasn't it, Gob?
Yeah. Was that Gob or Carwin?
That was Gob, yeah.
Oh, you carry on then.
Was that it?
You're Gob.
Mate,
have you gone to sleep here or what?
No, someone's
too much tea.
I'm getting a bit of feedback. Too much tea indeed. Yeah, look, like you said, really, really good game. Played at a really, really nice pace. Neither player was there to throw each other off. You can see it from the start. Mark Webster, in the very opening leg of this game, was desperate to get out what he had to say about this pair. He prepped it. He knew what he was going to say. Oh, he's at 180. Yeah, but as I said, but he's at. You two just carry on then. I'm not going to bother. He was livid. Absolutely stewing his opening response.
Yeah, they both hit 7 180s, and I feel like, just from memory of watching it, I'm pretty sure all of them followed the other guy hitting one. Like every time Florian hit one, one just followed it.
Yeah, but enjoyable game, played at an enjoyable pace. Disappointing outcome for Dizwan. First time he's been there since 2021, I think it is. So to even be back there is a big success for him. But I believe he's got to go back to Q School now.
Yeah, he did need
Temple,
to win that
Temple's a bit of a weird one, And when you see performances like this from Florian, it's strange that we haven't seen more of him this year. He made a huge impact 18 months ago to 2 years ago now.
Yeah.
Where he seemed to be absolutely everywhere. He was playing at the World Championships. He was pulling off big scouts, big performances. And you're like, this guy could be the new big German star, the new big breakout for them. Like, he had that level. He had the experience of being a professional sports person in another sport before this as well. So it's not like he's coming in completely unprepared. So he's got the mental capacity to go and be a professional sports person. I don't know how high a level it was, but at a decent enough level to make a living as a
professional sport. Let's be honest.
And then he just sort of dropped off for the year. He fell apart after he had a couple of decent runs. And you're like, where's Florian gone? And then he rocks up at the Ali Pally. He's a bit like Scott Williams in that regard. You put him up on that stage, and he's like, I'm here to perform.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. He's another one. We said this about Scott Williams earlier in the week, that it's all well and good being at your best when you're up on the big stage, which is what everyone wants to be. But if you don't play well enough to get yourself there, it's a bit pointless for 90% of the year.
Yeah, hang on.
Yeah.
You can't win if you ain't there.
That's it. That's what Gandhi taught us, wasn't it? Yeah.
I feel for Jeffrey as well, though. I feel a bit for Jeffrey as well. I thought he gave a good account of himself, and if he goes back to Q School and plays like that, I think he'll be there or thereabouts to get his tour card back. But it's just we haven't seen enough of that over the last couple of years to shout about, really.
No, but he looked in good form today. I thought he played really well, and I think it just came down to the outer ring again. To be honest, I think he's probably, if anything, slightly outscored Florian, but he was just relentless on the outer ring, Hempel, and like every time he had an opportunity, it felt like he took it. And that was the big difference in the game, really. He's won 10 legs to 5, which it felt a lot closer than that, but that's sort of set play for you, really.
Yeah, and he's probably thinking, having watched the game before, why couldn't I get a draw like that? Why did I have to come up against somebody?
There could have been any number of people he could have played that he would have cruised through playing like that. And hopefully he does go to Q School and perform like that as well, because I think if he does, he will sort of comfortably end up with his tour card back, because he's clearly back into a bit of form, and it'd be good to see him go and make a good run at it, because he's got close to keeping it as it is without playing particularly well. He's clearly someone that on his best day can comfortably end up in that top 64 and be looking higher.
He's been there, hasn't he? And I'm sure he can get back there. Can I ask, Hempel's towel? No, I don't use a towel when I play that. Will it just hang in there? That must be sort of. It can't. Does it? Would it? It feels like it would annoy me if I had a towel sort of dangling out of my pocket all throughout the game.
Yeah, it's a bit like Leonard Gates is the same. He has a towel hanging, but his is a bit more sort of not right in front of you as you sort of throw in. I suppose I don't know. He's got quite a still action, so maybe it doesn't move so much. But I can't play with like my phone in my pocket or anything. Like I have everything in my pocket when I throw.
I used to be like that, and now I'm much more comfortable with things in my pocket. I do play with a towel, but my towel will stay on the table. But I'm not against it, because I've had one. I've played pool before I played darts, and I used to have a towel sometimes in my back pocket or whatever. But I also had a chalk pouch instead of putting it in my pocket, because it stops your fingers clipping against your jeans or fucking up your pocket, so it clips on over the top. And you just get used to it and comfortably. You think Martin Adams played with his case attached to his waist for 10 years of his life. Keep him upright.
Yeah, I suppose it's each to their own, isn't it? But it wouldn't work for me, certainly. We haven't got any clips from the evening yet. What we have got, though, Gob's clearly done his work in the background, is we've got the video.
They're just above the ones from this afternoon. This is...
Oh, are they?
Yeah. I'll play Hempel right now for you.
I don't know what this venue, what the stage do with me. Alone the word World Championship. it's the biggest tournament in the year, and maybe it's the extra portion of motivation for me to perform a little bit better than on the Pro Tour. I love to perform in front of the crowd, in front of the cameras. I love it. To play on the big stages.
Well, he's playing on the big stage, which means he needs to play better off it to get on it more often.
Dimitri
Exactly.
van den Berg 2.0. But gladly less annoying to watch.
That's generous. Very generous to Dimitri there. We
Still
have also
from that UK Open, sorry.
Yeah, we have also got the clip from Stephen Bunting, so we'll play that as well.
But it must be something about gingers, because I've had Prince Harry's been here before as well, watching me. So I've got Phil Bars, and now I've got Ed Sheeran as well. What's going on?
The only criticism I have of that video is that he didn't give him his full title of the famous Mr. Phil Bars. But other than that,
It's same vibes as Captain Jack Sparrow, isn't it? Like, get it right.
you have to say it right. Yeah, if you don't, if you
Give the
don't
man his full title. He's deserved it.
he's
Phil-
earned it. That's
Phil
it.
must be chuffed that he was above Ed Sheeran on the list.
Yeah, this is not a
As
bad
in-
spot to be, is it?
Yeah,
Just slightly
yeah.
behind Prince Harry, but above Ed Sheeran he's pretty high up on anyone's list, I'd say. And from there, we went on to the Joel Eaton Derby, which I managed to get a nibble out of him earlier when he did listen back. Last night, I called it the Joel Eaton Derby and said it was the Joel Eaton Derby, but these two are actually Irish, unlike Mr. Eaton. And I just got a message back telling me to go and F myself when he listened back earlier on today. So
It's quite polite for him.
and I got the response we were looking for anyway. This one, I don't think, from someone as experienced as Willie O'Connor, who is generally quite sort of placid up there and doesn't give too much away, I don't think I've seen a much more petulant performance from someone that he wasn't playing his best by any means, but he was well in the game and wasn't anywhere near sort of out of it. And he's acting like every dart he threw was like the worst thing that had ever happened.
O'Connor played how to me the roles were reversed. I thought O'Connor's experience would he'd be not the confident one, but the one keeping calm, and Slevin would be the one a bit flappy because he's playing a fellow countryman and it's the big Irish derby and what have you. But yeah, O'Connor looked very uncharacteristically like Willie O'Connor. He just was all over the shop, and he'll probably look back at this and wonder what the hell was I doing on that stage, because I think that's the first time he'd lost in the first round since 2018 or something, and it's just very, very strange to see O'Connor play like that, considering some of the first round tests he's had over the last couple of years.
Yeah, that's it. And I know he's playing someone who's usually his practice partner in the lead up to the Worlds and someone that he knows really well. And it can be tough to do that sometimes because, as much as anything, obviously you want to win on this stage anyway, but you always want to beat your mate as well. And it's that little bit of extra edge. And it wasn't going quite to plan for him. But he's averaged 86, which is better than what we've seen from a lot in the first round. And he stuck right in there with Slevin throughout. I did think he's sort of a bit like when we were talking about earlier about Goto. Like, he seemed like he found his rhythm. He sped it up a little bit in that third set when he got himself back into the game. And then his head fell off again. And he just went back to shaking his head after every dart that he threw. It was an odd performance, but massive credit to Dylan Slevin. First win up on the Ali Pali stage from him. Looked really solid throughout, to be honest. He's not set the world alight, but other than a couple of legs where he missed an absolute hatful of doubles, he was pretty steady throughout.
I'm not sure he's ever going to be one that does set the world alight. I think Slevin will be a battler. He will be someone that comes through these slogs and picks off results. Like I said, I think we're all pretty surprised that it went this way and not the reverse way. Especially given Willie looked so comfortable on the walk-on as well.
Yeah, he was proper giving it the big and then doing it.
The players' body language, Willie's looks as confident as he can be. Was gutted not to practice with Dylan in the build-up to this, but they did what they had to do, knowing that they were playing each other and it's a big game. And like it was just a bit of a strange performance from him. Wanted more, didn't deliver. And I think once you chase him more, it becomes that bit more difficult, doesn't it? The frustration sets in, as you said before. So, yeah, look, big win for Dylan. Interesting tie that he has next against Dimitri Van den Berg to close out Sunday night. I will be there for that session. Whether or not I see the end of that match is a completely different matter.
You're being diplomatic again. That's not what you told us.
Well, I'm booking a hotel now, so I don't need to drive back. So we'll see.
That's why you were going to leave early.
It is. She was meant to be at work, which means she was getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning, but suddenly she's got Monday and Tuesday off. So there's no need. I can have a beer. Yeah.
Happy days.
I can have an Amstel at the Paddy Power fan zone, at the Foster's fan zone.
Fan zone. Yeah, well done.
Sorry, Paddy. We love you guys. Keep doing the great work. They've been superb, by the way. Just a tangent. Paddy Power, the branding they've done, the promos they've done on the side, things like Rashad tweeting and whatever. They've been absolutely bob on this tournament, and long may that continue. There is another bit of a talking point from this game, though. Dylan Slevin's points have caused quite a
yes. This was mentioned in the chat by Bob, who gets every prediction right. So absolutely rightly so. We should put his comment up on the screen. Yeah, we were discussing this in the chat. You mentioned it. There is a rule out there, and it's a very big stage to make the first call to call someone on it. But there was sort of question that you feel like it could have been used in this game.
I think we've seen a couple of incidents of late. I'll be honest. There was a player that I was refereeing for very, very recently who, for 2 days, I got very, very close to making that call. But specifically in PDC terms, we haven't seen it enforced as yet. When the rule was first decided, or when the PDC first announced that there was going to be this rule change, or through the DRA rule book as it is, and that it was being worked on and consulted with the manufacturers, etc. It was a very, very technical rule. The points can't be rougher than this according to this measurement, and you cannot have anything but a smooth barrel for the first 10 millimeters of your point, blah, blah. And it was incredibly complicated and difficult to enforce, and the equipment that the referees would then have to carry was a bit of a joke, etc. A lot of manufacturers put a lot of money into points that meet the rules for the DRA, and then actually they went, we're going to leave it up to the officials. If they decide they're destroying the board, they can make you change them. What that has done is leave it open to quite a bit of interpretation.
Yeah.
And to make that call for the very first time and set a precedent whilst doing it as well, that this is the level of damage that we're seeing to a dartboard over 5 sets or whatever the distance may be at that point, that this is where we're going to draw the line, is quite a big call to make, not only in a world championship, but when you've got the pressures of broadcasters, the level of the tournament, and the fact it would be the first call. I don't think we were going to see it called mid-game, because obviously to stop a game in the middle of a game usually takes an awful lot from the officials as well. It's a complaint from if O'Connor had complained at some point, I think there may have been a discussion to be had. But because that doesn't seem to have been the case, that rule then obviously isn't pushed on and enforced. I think there may be a conversation with Dylan from someone within the PDC as tournament director or as an official between now and Sunday night. And if he gets past Dimitri and we're playing over an even longer format, I definitely think there will be a conversation to be had away from the board to say, actually, that isn't okay, or these are going too much. And the thing is, what you then get is someone that will throw over exactly the same points on exactly the same board or a different board going, no, it doesn't damage the board, because of the way that they're retrieved from the board.
Yeah.
That's the big deal. A dart going into the board makes the same hole no matter what. But when you grab 3 together and pull them out, what you do is you drag the sisal out with it, you rip in shreds of the sisal that it's gripped to. There are ways that these darts and points can be taken out the board without doing any more damage than the smoothest point you've ever seen. One at a time, a little twist, a little movement in them just to pull them out and loosen them. But it's when they've gone in quite firmly, as Dylan Slevin's action and throw is, and then grabbed in one hand and retrieved all at once, you're going to do damage.
Yeah. I think the point is, though, with the rule the way it is very subjective. And I don't think anyone out there really wants to be the guy to call it first either, because, like I say, it's going to cause controversy. The player's not going to be happy about it that's throwing with them, and especially if they're in the middle of a game and playing well at that point. Like I say, if you'd done it to him at 2-0 up, it could have completely ruined his game and everything changes. So, and at that point, I mean, what do you do? Has he got another set of points that are different at that stage? So, can he change them for a start? Are they points that can actually be changed, or does he need a new set of darts at that point? Like,
see, not everyone and not every manufacturer has the ability to use interchangeable points like something like the Swiss system anyway. And that technology, as far as I know, is painted. There is another one on the market through Mission, but not quite Mission, where you can add the drilling bit and then twist them in. I can't remember what the system is called. Evo, maybe?
Evo, yeah.
Evo.
An Evo, like that, yeah.
And the problem is, it gets to a point of, well, if you haven't got another set, tough, but I don't know what the rule is at that point.
Like, can he go and get someone else's darts? Or like,
yeah, but then you've got to have someone to agree
or...
to lend him those darts, etc. Now, it is a sort of a case of, well, that's on you anyway. Because if you bought something that's overly aggressive after you were given a year's notice that the rules are changing, and then given a year where the rule exists, and you still decide to use something that's too aggressive to get called on it, you've had 2 years' notice this rule's coming. If your equipment still doesn't meet those standards, it's your own silly fault. But also, because nobody's called it up until this point, he's probably played to those points a fair number of times now on the floor and in various other things. It becomes quite difficult. We're going, well, it hasn't been called before, or this ref let me do it, or this ref said there was no issue with it, or this tournament director wouldn't have called it, because I've asked his opinion afterwards going, would you have made me change my points? And I go, oh, no, probably not. And that's the issue with it being a subjective
grey area, and there is no sort of set, like I say, there's no set limit on it other than for someone to call it. So that's why I think we're not going to see it called anyway. You're obviously more technical than me on this. What reason does Dylan Slevin need to have those points in there? Because the way he throws a dart into the board, it ain't coming out.
The only thing I can think of is it's when he puts a second one in there with such force that it might be moving the first one.
Yeah.
Or just a little bit of reassurance and trust. But for me, there isn't a need for anything that aggressive. I don't think there was that much of a need for it. On the old boards when Unicorn were in charge, I think a couple of players used it, especially as Dylan's angle of entry is quite neutral. It is up, but it's not flat and it's not too steep. A lot of players that you saw having bounce outs when the Unicorn boards were a thing that really brought this to light had a really, really aggressive angle of entry. And what they're trying to do then, I'll use a card, is cheat the board almost and get it to stick up as much as they can, leave the treble open as wide as possible. And if you hit that one, another one is sitting below it.
Yeah.
Because they've opened it up. But what that does mean is there isn't a lot of point to go into the board.
Yeah.
And with not a lot of force, because what they've had to do is loop it, or when they hit the board, and then get it to kick up. Well, at that point, you've already made your point move, and it's not as firmly in the board as it possibly can be.
Yeah.
I think the old boards were actually scapegoated a lot for players trying to cheat boards almost. And then the new boards are better. Winmar boards, the Blade 6 is the best board we've ever seen in production. It is just that good in terms of the R&D that's gone into it, the way it looks, the way it feels, the way it plays. It is the most durable, the best looking, whatever you want to go down that route. It is solid. It is perfect. But I don't think the step up from when Winmar initially took that contract from Unicorn, when it was the 5s, was as big as perhaps we've seen.
No, that's it. And from there, before we get down the hole, and we've already been on for nearly an hour, we go to the final game of the night. And this one sort of went as we expected, didn't it, Carwin? 3-0 win for Michael van Gerwen. Hurrell played okay, started well, but still lost the first set on his own darts. And from there, it never really looked anything but 3-0, did it?
Yeah, I think, did we even say that we think he might win a leg in each game, a leg in each set and what have you? So, it went to plan, as in MVG gave him a few chances, especially in that, was it the 4th leg in the second set when he missed 6, he missed 9 darts of them in the match, 6 of them in one leg, and Hurrell does the cardinal sin of busting his 140 score, and it was
pretty poor that one, wasn't it?
Bit of a bonkers ending to that leg. But again, I feel like Hurrell played a bit too slow. Maybe wanted to extend his time on stage. I don't know, but
getting a bit of extra time for his sponsors at that point.
Yeah, just didn't. It can't be too begrudging him too much because I actually, as we said, I think the game went as everybody expected, and MVG, whilst he wasn't firing on all cylinders, it was just a cheeky reminder that Luke isn't the only name that people need to be talking about, and that he's got some unfinished business with World Championship, Ali Pali, darts in general, and just keeping the conversation. It's nice to see him hitting 5 maximums, as in he's not always the most prolific 180 hitter, is our MVG.
No, but when he's playing well, he starts grouping them together. Yeah, it looks like he's got all sorts of room in there every time he hits the first one. So yeah, it was good to see him playing like that, and I thought really solid on the outer ring, like you say. Other than the one leg, he was absolutely spot on and put a bit of a marker down here without doing a Callum Ridson averaging 107. It's still one of those performances that you look at and think that was good, and there's still levels to come above it, but he's on.
He's up and running, which is important.
Yeah.
Finishing very, very good. Pace of the game didn't help him. Scoring, I thought there was still a lot of wayward darts from Van Gogh. And in fact, the moments I'm looking at him to compare his action, I whacked up his first World Championship title against Peter Wright on my phone at one point to compare the throw. And the next thing Van Gogh did was wild dart into the 5, wild dart into the single 19, wild dart into the 20. And I'm like, we would never have seen 3 loose like that from Van Gerwen in the past with such a distance from the target that he's aiming at for all 3. Look, he's clearly settled on this throw compared to the old throw, whether or not that's injury caused or changing the equipment or a combination of all of it. Does that make him as consistent as before? No, there's too many moving parts with the roll up at the back of the wrist because then he's got to push through with the fingers as well. I think it looks like he's trying to be a little bit more upright, but I think because of that, he's got to find an extra 6 inches on how far and hard he's throwing the dart as well. There's been a lot of work done on that Van Gerwen throw. I don't think it's as good as the old one. I think you're going to see glimpses where he goes absolutely berserk with it because it's one of those throws which, if you get the timing of it correctly, you're going to look unbelievable. Kyle Anderson's throw, when he started twisting his wrist to come round, he was nowhere near as consistent and his B game fell off a bit.
When he's there.
But his A game was, quite frankly, one of the best in the world when he got it right at that point. And that's what we're going to see from Van Gerwen now. We're going to see a bigger range of performances. We're going to see more impressive A games. Close to it. His A game was pretty phenomenal back in the day. But we're going to see a lot worse B game and C game from Van Gerwen. And it's about picking those off, getting those key moments. And when he does show those glimpses, ensuring there's enough fear put into his opponent that he can get away with it when he's not quite on it. Because that's going to be crucial to any success that Van Gerwen has from here on out in an era where players simply aren't scared of him anymore.
No, he is that sort of, he's basically Man United in it at the moment. Like he used to be feared. No one's worried anymore. Everyone just thinks I'll have a bash at them and I fancy a go here.
Yeah, I'm fuming. They lost to Spurs the other night. I wanted Old Trafford away in the cup.
I, as a Blackburn fan, am begging for them in the 3rd round of the FA Cup because I think we'll absolutely smash them the way we're playing and the way they're playing. It's just that is how Van Gerwen is at the moment as well. We haven't got a clip from Van Gerwen as yet. It may drop in at some point from Phil. What we have got, as Bob asked for in the chat, we have actually got Dylan Slevin, and we got on to points and rules, and we forgot to play the clip of him. So let's listen to him, and then we'll go through today's action as it is now, because it is 20-1 in the morning.
No, I wasn't really, to be honest. It does be there, like, you know, like you're thinking like, oh, you're going to get in trouble and all that, like. But no, like I'm going to try and change up my equipment, like, you know, for next year. Just try a few new things, like, because I've always been basic, standard flight, standard stem, and then just whatever point I like to throw it, you know. So I'm going to try and use new equipment for next year. So hopefully that'll make me better next year.
I assume there he's not talking about the points. What he's talking about is the fact that he kept Robin Hooding them.
Standard point, standard stem, standard flight, board shredding points. They're all standard.
Yeah, really standard. Yeah, but yeah, he did have a few issues with Robin Hooding them as well. So maybe he's going to go to an all-in-one where that sort of is taken out of the equation. But who knows? From there, then we go into today's action and day 7 at the Paddy Power World Darts Championship. And we start off in the afternoon. We're going to go to Carwyn first because he is the Welsh correspondent. We have Carol Sedlacek up against Rhys Griffin. So where are you going with this one, Carwyn?
Now, I've done my best to back the Welsh boys as much as possible this week. The one time I didn't, I got it wrong, and the Rob Owen marching band rolls on, so I'm glad I got that one wrong. But I do think Sedlacek will have too much, and I fear it may be a 3-0 win for the Czech star, and Griffin not really getting a foothold in the game at all, unfortunately.
Obviously, everyone in the chat room, get involved as well. We'll throw all your predictions up once we've gone through ours. Gob, which way are you going on this one?
Evil Charlie slaps him.
I assume that's 3-0 then, or are you just not going to... You know this works. Let's have a score.
Yeah, 3-0.
Okay, fair enough. I'm with you. I think it's 3-0 as well. I just think he's just better. And that's all it'll come down to at the end of the day. We have Joel in the chat room is straight in. Sedlacek 3-0 as well. Gaz has gone Griffin 3-2. Carwyn will be very much your friend if that happens. 3-1 Sedlacek for James. Same again for Norville, 3-1. And Bob's got Griffin 3-2 as well. Carwyn, you might be in here because Bob doesn't get many wrong.
No, so hopefully the Bob, what's the word I'm thinking of? Rain continues with predictions.
That's it. Second game of the afternoon session, we have Richard Veenstra against Alexis Toilo of the Philippines. I don't know where I'm going to go with this, but I'm in charge, so I'm going to throw this to Gob first. Where are you going?
Toilo, 3-2.
Bold selection from Gob.
I've just been really, really impressed with the Asian contingent, and it's about time we saw that payoff.
Yeah.
All right, we've got Nabreda, but I think we need a little bit more from them. The Asian tour being back has been absolutely massive. Technically, they're so solid. Veenstra is a dangerous opponent. We've seen what he can do. He's the man that beat Luke Littler at the BDO Worlds, for Christ's sake, a couple of years ago with that ridiculous ton-plus average that no one's really got near since at the Lakeside. But again, his B game can be got at. I think if you can get him a little bit nervous and edgy, then there's a chance. And Toilo's been really, really impressive this year.
Okay, there we go. Carwyn, where are you going?
I think Veenstra scrapes through 3-2. I think he just about holds it together. And I think it could be a close game, maybe not quality-wise, but just in terms of a competitive match. But I think Veenstra scrapes through this one.
I think it's a little bit wider. I think it's a little bit more comfortable for him. I've got him in 3-1. I think Toilo gets a set, but I think that is as much as he gets out of him. And that, I think that's all I can give him. Jamie's bold as anything. He's got Veenstra winning it 9-0, which is big bold shout. James has gone 3-0 Veenstra. Daz the same. Joel's got it 3-2, same as you, Carwyn. As has Norville, and then Toilo 3-1 for Bob. He's with you on that side, Gob. Slightly wider than you had it, but a little bit of a split there on that one. And then we go on to Brendan Dolan against Locyan Lee, who actually overcame Chris Landman yesterday afternoon. Was it the first game of yesterday afternoon? they're all blending into one at this stage, Carwin, I'll be honest with you. But, yeah, he overcame Chris Landman at that point. Now comes up against Brendan Dolan, someone with so much experience up on this stage and every other stage. How do you see this one going, Carwin?
I think experience wins the day here. I think Dolan's been around for too long, knows too much, and I guess the big thing is can Lee maintain the performance from his first round? And no, it wasn't the best, but it was a winning performance, and he'll need to up his game. But I don't think he ups it enough, and I think Dolan wins 3-0.
Gob, how about you?
I believe in the towel. We're going back to back wins for Asia. 3-1.
Okay, there we go. I think this is really close. I just not been impressed with what I've seen from Brendan for a while now. But I think when it comes down to it, he just gets over the line, and I think he nicks it 3-2, possibly in extra legs. In the chat room, what have we got in there? We've got James got Dolan 3-1, Norville Dolan 3-2, Joel Dolan 3-2, Daz got Dolan 3-2. Everyone thinks it's sort of close, but everyone got Dolan winning, and Bob's got Dolan 3-1. Anyone else that is wanting to get involved, remember you do need to subscribe to be able to get involved in the chat room. So if you haven't already subscribed, drop us a like, get yourself in there, and like I say, just lie to us and tell us you're the best predictor. Go in, because we never check them. We never have any ideas, so we will believe you if you say it. Final game of the afternoon, and we have Chris Dobie making his first appearance. I feel like I should get the envelope out to put my bald head on and become Dan Simpson again for this one, as I did the other night, up against Alexander Merckx. Gob, you first on this one. Where are you going?
Dobie. I wasn't that impressed with Merckx earlier. It was a bit of a slog. Dobie's coming in. Really good form. One of the best 180 hitters in the world. I think the only pressure in this one comes from Dobie himself. And any pressure he puts on himself to deliver, given the number of seeds that have fallen already. This should be pretty comfortable. 3-0.
Carwin, anything different than that?
No, not at all. Merckx showed me nothing yesterday as it is now to convince me that he puts Dobie under any pressure. And yeah, if Dobie just thinks, win this game, enjoy Christmas, he wins comfortably 3-0 without breaking sweat.
Yeah, we were sort of joking last night with Callan about him playing with 2 darts. I think Dobie could do that in this game and probably win it still, to be honest, from what we saw from Merckx today. Yesterday as it is now. I've got Dobie 3-0 as well, which means there's nothing more certain than that it doesn't finish 3-0, because we've all gone that way, along with everyone in the chat room as well. Joel 3-0, Norval 3-0, James 3-0, Bob 3-0, Daz 3-0. So there's nothing more certain, is there, than it's not 3-0. Evening session. And we start off with another Dan Simpson clash to start with. And we've got Danny Noppert taking on Ryan Joyce. I think we're you first here on this one, Carwin. Where are you going?
Oh, that's a tasty second round clash, isn't it?
Really isn't it?
I think it goes a long way, because Noppert starts slow and Joyce will be up and running, having played okay in his first round game, average over 90 in defeating Labanauskas. I think Joyce wins this 3-2.
It is like having Dan Simpson on the show. Gob, where are you going?
3-1 Danny.
I'm inclined to follow Carwin here.
Of course you are. You look the same.
Well, yeah, that's true.
I'm fatter.
I'm not so sure. Not more chins than
No.
Carry on. I just think I don't know. I don't feel like I've been that impressed with Danny this year as much as sort of the last couple of years where he's been absolutely brilliant. I think the level dipped a little bit, and I think Joyce might just take advantage in an absolute sort of battle to the end of extra legs and carry on going and gets over the line 3-2. In the chat, where are we going? Knock at 3-2 for James. Joel's got Joyce 3-1. Knock at 3-1 for Bob. Knock at 3-2 for Norville. 3-2, 6-4 last set from Jamie. Love a detailed prediction as always. 3-2 Joyce for Daz. And Rob just telling us that he thinks there's value there for Joyce at 6-4. I hope that's with sponsors Paddy Power, because we don't entertain any odds from anyone else on this show. But I think it's pretty much about that everywhere, to be honest. But Paddy Power, definitely the place to go for it. Loads of freebies flying around for the Worlds as well. So get involved on there. And if you're going to tell us that he's value at that, at least throw us a little prediction in. Rob, come on, you're usually in there with them.
That was his prediction. You can get some value on that.
Yeah. Apparently, well, maybe he just thinks he's going to win 6-4, which is impossible.
It's a bit early for that one.
Yeah.
2 more rounds.
Next up, we have got Raymond van Barneveld up against Nick Kenny. So I don't even know if it's your turn to go first, Colin, but you are the Welsh correspondent, so I'm coming to you again. Does Nick Kenny win again?
I really want to say yes, so that it just keeps the race for the top 64 alive. I just don't know. I think
in the race between the two Welsh fellows.
Yeah. Just make sure that one of them's there if we can't get both. I just feel like Barney has been around for too long and knows too much and will not let anything faze him. With Rob Owen against Clemens, I said he needed to be ahead 2-0 to win the match. Nick Kenny has to be 2-0 ahead to win the match, but even if he is 2-0 up, he could lose the match. So I think Barney wins 3-1.
Gob?
Ask me the question the same way you asked Carwin.
Does Nick Kenny win again?
No. No, he doesn't.
I was planning to reuse that at some point. As soon as I played it earlier, I was like, we need to get that back in there as well.
3-1 Barney.
3-1 Barney. So you both on 3-1 Barney. Just for a little bit of difference, I love an underdog, and I'd like an upset. So 3-2 Nick Kenny. Barney 3-1. James is with you 2. Joel's with me 3-2. As is Bob, which is always a good sign. Jamie's got Barney 3-0. Lee's got 3-2 with Tyson. Don't double it up. If you go in for Nick Kenny, because I've predicted it, which is a smart thing to do, don't double it up with Tyson Fury, because Usyk is just better than he is. Nick Kenny 3-1 for Norville, and Daz has got 3-1 RVB, but fancies Kenny to take some legs, thinks it'll be a pretty close 3-1. The penultimate game of the night. Wonder which one's going to have the most eyeballs on it. You think it might be this one by any chance?
Not as many as it potentially could have had.
No.
If they had it up against the boxing.
Well, and the fact that
Yeah.
170 very likely goes on to pick it up from there and has 2 of the biggest breakout stars the game's seen in the last 15 years go up against each other on Saturday night primetime.
Yeah.
A little bit of a different. That's not taking anything away from Ryan Meikle. He's a great dart player, but he doesn't bring the same eyeballs that Fallon Sherrick does.
No.
I feel for him, because even after he's beaten her, we're still talking about her. But he doesn't beat Luke. I'm not. It's going to be very difficult to beat Luke across this entire tournament anyway. And I think you're going to need a lot more firepower than what Ryan Meikle possesses to get near it. A lot of players will go, yeah, I can win that. It says a lot in his post-match going, It's not likely, but it can happen. I think if you play this game 50 times, he might win 3.
Yeah, I think you're right.
There's 3, I think.
Yeah, did you give us a score there?
3-1.
3-1. Okay, got him winning a set. How about you, Colin?
I don't think he wins the set. I think Littler comes out, blows him out the park, out the water, out the whatever the saying is. It's late. I can't remember now. Littler 3-0. Miko might win 2 legs.
Too much.
Yeah, I don't think Luke is one that will struggle with the pace at all either. Like, he just sort of gets up and does his thing. Like, once he's there, he just throws at the same speed every time anyway. So don't think he's one that it'll really affect so much. Yeah, I think Luke wins 3-0 as well. Bob has given us insight into his system and why he keeps getting everything right. He just tries to go with the opposite of what every one of the rest of us say. Apparently, he's got Miko 3-2 just because he wants to be the only one picking Littler's opponent. That is the system. Just to avoid what we say, and you will be right more often than not.
It's what I used to do on the live lounge, and then everyone else started getting creative with their predictions.
Yeah.
And suddenly, Phil Bars is backing James Wade to win games. What the fuck are you doing? That's my thing.
And you are the only one doing that because the rest of us just want to see him get beat. Miko 3-0 from Jamie. That is seriously bold. I don't think there is any world in which Luke Littler doesn't at least take a set in this one. Lee's got it 3-0. My prediction. Yeah, most people will. This is the worst thing about it being Meikle, is that we want to try and watch this and watch the boxing, and they are going to end up clashing because Meikle will still be throwing his first 3 darts. Luke 3-0, 103 average. Fancying to start really well there for Norville. Daz has got 3-0, giving Meikle 3 legs, and 9-1 in legs for James. Got it 3-0 as well. Yeah, consensus is that unless you are Bob just trying to be different to everyone else, you are in the Meikle camp. You're not in the Meikle camp. Oh, sorry, Jamie went that way as well. Sorry, done you a disservice there, Jamie. It is 2 of them against the field. And then we end up with what could be an absolute cracker. And Jamie's just asked, does that mean I'm not watching Head Scott? Of course I am, because I love me some Connor Scott. And I also, behind me in the sports room here, have 2 tellies set up next to each other. So I can watch both anyway and throw a few darts badly at the same time if I want to. So yeah, I'm going to come to you, Carwin, first on this one, because I think God went first on the last one.
I've not gone first on any of them. Throughout this entire thing, you go, well, I think it's Carwin's turn on. I just started going, you carry on, pal.
Oh, you definitely went first on the last one.
If you want to go first, Scott, I won't.
No, you carry on, mate.
Oh, bloody hell. I think Scott wins this one. I think lack of being involved in the first round means Heta starts slowly and he can't recover. So Connor wins 3-1 in what could be one of the games of the tournament so far, if not the game of the tournament.
Yeah, I think this will be really good. Go on then, Gob.
I genuinely don't know. For the first time in a long time, this is a really, really tough one to call.
I tell you what, it tells me that at 13-10 with the sponsors, as it is at the moment, that Connor Scott's really good value, because I don't see that much of a difference in these two as what they clearly do.
Yeah, whoever's being priced as the underdog here is going to be a good value, I think, because Scott is so impressive with his A game. We've seen these levels, Players' Championships, all the way to the semis, plus backed it up with semis or quarters. Quarters. Mansell's a semi.
Yeah.
Was a quarter finalist in that without a tour card. Plus, then the fact he was so impressive in round 1. Damon is quality. There is absolutely no denying that. The question around Damon keeps reverting back to, can he produce it on TV to the level that we see him produce on floor? We've seen glimpses, but can he put it together as a sustained run? I think where Damo
at the UK Open, let's be honest.
I think where Damo will just shade it. is level of consistency. And I'm going to say 3-2, but I am going Heta just. I really do like Connor. I think his A game is fantastic, and I think he is so much better equipped to go back on tour next year. His all-round level is a lot better. My worry is just a little bit for when things don't quite go right. Was it Ross Smith he had in his group game to qualify at the Slam? And it went downhill very, very quickly.
Yes, he got rattled through 5-0.
And the worry is that if Heta runs off a set without reply and then wins the first leg of the next, it's how quickly can Connor stop that rot, because that's the last string to the bow. I need to see Connor add to his game before you go, not only is he equipped enough to go back on tour, he's equipped to go back on tour with the assets and the caliber of a top 32 player and maybe beyond that. That's the one facet missing from his game from what I've seen.
Yeah, I completely get that, but I'm going heart over head. My head's saying that Damon probably gets over the line here, but I don't care. I'm picking Connor to win it, and I think he wins it. I think he gets out into an early lead and wins 3-1. In the chat, we have got, where are we here? Heta 3-2 from James. I don't see that as a bad pick whatsoever. I think he could be close, and I don't think that's a bad pick at all. The Snipper 3-1 for Daz there, giving him an extra P in his name. We'll have that one. 3-2 Connor for Joe.
No.
Heta 3-0. I think it's all on the doubles for Heta from Jamie. Bob's also called him the Snipper. Maybe that's his new name. Have we missed something here? He's also got him as the Snipper 3-1. And Joel thinks he's going extra legs, which I wouldn't be surprised either, to be honest. Why wasn't Mansfield also put on in this time slot for a point as well? If you're going to go up against the boxing with something, I think that's probably the right thing to do. But this is going to be a cracker going alongside it. Dicker and the Snipper. Right, we've descended into chaos at the end. Right, let's go back and bring a bit of seriousness back to it. Daz wants to know who's on tomorrow. You again, Corwin, I believe, and Mr. Jarlath Eaton of not being Irish tomorrow, I believe.
But yeah.
That's what I think. Anyway, he did. I think he was trying to get out of it earlier because he realised that Barney was playing, but it's not. We're not letting him because he's put his name down for it, and the rota is final, except for tonight when Colin had to jump in and do the report.
No
and
problem.
that's where we'll end, because I think we've covered everything, really. We've gone on for far too long as it is. It's an hour and 20 minutes at this point. We're invoicing for 2 fallouts at this rate.
We get paid for this?
No, because I never remember to invoice. Probably don't deserve paying either, to be honest, for half of what I put up on it.
I didn't say that bit, but carry on.
No, that's it. I'll throw that bit in there myself. So, anyway, that was day 6 at the Paddy Power World Darts Championships. Remember that all of the interviews are available in full on the YouTube channel. So, now that we're done on here, if you're still awake and for some reason still going at this stage, get yourself on there, listen to all in full. I'm sure MVG will be up there very soon if it's not already up there as well. And all the rest of the winners today, you can listen to them in full there as well. I've been Cam McFarlane, joined by Corwin Evans as ever, as he is now an ever-present for this tournament so far. And finally, Jack Galway got out of bed and joined us. So thank you very much for watching. Thank you for all your support in the chat room and everything that you put in, because you make this show more than we do. And we will see you all tomorrow. Bye.